we're talking about playoffs here at the HGC as we get it ready for day number 2. For us, Method has made it to day number 2 with their victory yesterday, and we'll see if they can continue that here as they're going to be facing off against the Leftovers next. My name is Trixler. Over there we got Caldor. Caldor, are you enjoying the playoffs?
Dude, I'm so full.
You're so full. The English muffin got to you, did it?
We had...
And the cake.
Yesterday was Josh's birthday.
Happy
Josh,
birthday,
please.
Josh.
Happy birthday. And we still had cake in the fridge, so I started with a cake, then we had proper breakfast, and then I had a cupcake too, and a large coffee.
Yeah.
Dude, it's bad.
A lot of fuel for tonight, though, when you're biking, though, so it's perfect, right?
Yeah, a lot of fuel for the cast now, because that's going to be hopefully hype. Method actually pulling it through yesterday, so that was impressive. Finally starting to find their rhythm maybe a little bit, as we could hear from Bad Benny. He doesn't really believe that they're back yet, but maybe they can change that today.
Yeah, Method was able to take on the number 6 seed here in the standings. It was Granite Gaming they were able to beat off, and then of course we're going to be moving over to the next seed, which they'll be facing off against the Leftovers. As mentioned, Fnatic is our number 3 seed and will be the final boss for us this weekend. Whoever wins today will face off against them tomorrow, and Fnatic is looking equipped and ready to go. So whoever wins today better be ready.
Yeah, exactly. Fnatic, of course, has also the luxury of looking at all those teams and see what they're playing. That helps them to prepare a bit for their own match. No matter who wins today, they're going to take a close look at the match between Method and Leftovers. And let's see if Method can pull it off. But of course, people expect that Leftovers going into this match as the favorite are going to be the one that will contest the BlizzCon spot when it comes to the final game tomorrow against Fnatic.
For me, I'm personally very curious to see how this matchup is going to unfold. As Method and Leftovers have faced off a total of 5 times here in the HGC, Method has pulled ahead 3 times of those 5 times, but 3 of those 5 matches have actually been a 3-2 series. We've always gone to game at number 5. The big one we saw at the Western Clash, and then of course the other one that we saw the week after here in the HGC. So in terms of actual skill and history, these 2 teams have been neck and neck the entire time. The issue is Leftovers currently on fire, Method not so much as of late.
Oh, and of course for a lot of the players that we're also seeing in the scene right now, it's the last time that they're going to play with these teams. We heard that Quacknix is going to retire, or is at least going to focus on his streaming. We're already hearing that JPL is now saying, okay, he's starting to burn out a little bit and wants to go a different path. So a lot of the changes are going to come in after the season one way or another. So for a lot of the teams, there will be roster changes. There will maybe be a few more retirements. So this is the last final stand that you can take, or for a lot of the teams at least, show, okay, we're here to win something, to go to BlizzCon, to attend the biggest tournament at the end of the year. So especially for Method also, this is another chance of showing we had a bad part 2, but we are still good enough to make it to BlizzCon.
Well, enough delays here. Let's go ahead and get this party started as we check in with the teams themselves.
Our match versus Leftovers will be quite interesting because I think that it's the team that we have one of the better matchups against. So it just feels like our playstyle works well versus how they play. For example, in this phase, we kind of didn't do that well, but we still won versus them. And I think the meta is a little bit better for us this week than it was previous weeks because of some changes and also Mephisto coming in.
Method is a very question mark team at the moment because the last week performance was pretty questionable as for Method standards. Our strategy as a team is to just play a solid game and use the same weaknesses Granite did 2 weeks ago, and eventually we should score a win and go and move up and play Fnatic.
I'm always so happy to look at Leftovers. They, as individual units, all 5 of those players have grown so much. At the start of the season, it really felt like, all right, you got Mopsio here, you got DAB, the others trying to fill their shoes and trying to fill out the best. Link started to really start popping up, especially with Decker Game coming out. But now Podibus, Blakitney, starting to really bring in their own flavor to this team. And they just certainly have 5 individual players that are just incredibly skilled. And they work so well together as a team.
And they're still bringing out picks that other people don't really expect. They're willing to experiment a bit more. And it makes sense if you consider that, especially especially Mopsio coming into the team, learned from ADRD. And ADRD actually showed us that Zarya picked too, and just in the last series. So that was something where you can see that they still every now and then bring in something that you might not traditionally expect. So we could see some pretty hot drafts today.
Speaking of hot, let's go ahead and check out the schedule for the Leftovers in the last few weeks. They have been on a hot streak. Look at these W's here. 4 coming in. Team Liquid, Roll20, Dignitas, and Granite Gaming. Leftovers killing it as of late.
Yeah, doing really well in most of those games. Even the series that they had against Dignitas, of course, that's the important one. Taking this one was huge for them. Losing against Fnatic, though, that was definitely a bit of a problem for them. Also made sure that Fnatic secured for themselves the number 3 spot for these playoffs and has the better position there.
Look at the one tidbit here. Look at Method. Both of the losses Leftovers when they have faced off in HGC play, they have lost against Method. Down. They did beat them at the Western Clash, but this is about the actual online play itself. So Method, while they do speak about this advantage they have in this matchup, it's true. They're 3-1 in a 3-2 victory both times.
It was also at the beginning, though, after the Western Clash. And
yeah,
I think
it's true.
Ever since then, Method has really fallen off. So you are correct. This is something where maybe there are mind games. I mean, there's obviously going to be some mind games too. Again, it's ADRD going up against Mopsio here, and the two of them have played for a long time. Mopsio has echoed several times how he feels that ADRD is a mentor to him, and was. So there's a lot of interactions, and there can be they know each other really well. So there can definitely be a couple of mind games where you're trying to lay traps in a draft or you try to surprise someone.
Well, let's go to Battleground number 1's best of 5 series and see if Method is ready to take on the Leftovers. See if they can take them out, or if Leftovers can earn a win on online play. BOE will be the Battleground. Cursed Hollow and Dragonshire have been banned out for this series.
This is, of course, also a series where Fnatic fans are going to watch and very likely cheer for Method. That would, from Fnatic's perspective, be the easier match, since they themselves have a much better track record against Method than they do against Leftovers, where both of the series that were played in regular play this season, they ended up on the 5th map, and it was really close every single time. So from Fnatic fans' perspective, this is something where you're going to cheer for Method, obviously. But yeah, BOE. It's going to be an aggressive map and a hump for it. Should be a good one.
Heroes that we should be aware of. Hanzo, as always. Medivh against Method. Need to make sure you ban that out. But also, don't forget about Tracer. Tracer is one of these heroes that usually falls off for a lot of our teams, but not for the Leftovers.
Yeah.
Always an option for them. Even into matchups that seem unfavorable, DAB always delivers on that character.
I'm pretty sure that we're going to see Leftovers play ADRD Bingo again, banning out the Abathur, banning out the Medivh. Genji taken away, first of all. Wouldn't really be shocked to also see Tyrande again coming into the draft. You talked about Hanzo already as a great hero here. Tyrande is another one. We could see even a Greymane popping in if teams are going for a full race. Abathur is expected banned out. Let's see what Method bans second, but from Leftovers we can surely expect that they're heading straight into a ban on Medivh here.
Got a Yrel ban coming out for Method, a trend that they have pulled off all day yesterday. Hanzo banned out for Leftovers.
Leaving Medivh open.
Yeah.
I want to see how Method reacts to this. Are they going to snap pick Medivh? No, they go for Diablo first, but Medivh is all of a sudden an option and can definitely be a game changer here. Probably, if he's getting picked, he will be picked before the 3rd ban, though.
I can't believe they risked it, especially on BOE, because when you think about Medivh, when he was before he became popular everywhere for Method, he was played on BOE, he was played on Tomb of the Spider Queen, and occasionally on Towers of Doom as well. This is a battleground that you have enough space, you have a lot of brawls happening, and if you have a tank that can get in and enforce the engagement, he is great with.
I mean, it is always a question of what you expect your opponent to do, right?
Yeah.
If you're Leftovers and you don't ban Medivh, do you expect Method to snap pick him on the number 1 slot? Because they might be afraid you yourself want to play him? Method hasn't done that yet. So now the chance to go into a Medivh build.
There it is.
Yeah, we have it.
Even Tyrande. ADRD happy. He's going to have those shields available. Diablo is going to be safe in that front line, constantly trying to force the engagements.
I'm happy.
Trying out for the heals. This is great. We haven't seen...
This is actually now a situation where Leftovers just come in with the confidence and say, you know what, dude? I feel, first of all, they expected Medivh to maybe snap picked on the number 1 slot.
Sure.
And then they would get whatever they want. They can go into the Diablo setup. They can combo it off with the Maiev. But then Diablo gets prioritized. They go into Garrosh. And then Method still says, all right, now it's time. Before the 3rd ban, secure Medivh. Make sure they can't ban it out now. But if you're leftovers, you are confident into this draft. You try to control the portal. You already have Garrosh here. You can try and tether people around. They're going to look for a bit more lockdown so that they can control portal plays. But yeah, consider me intrigued. Leftovers coming in with a confidence, saying like, yep, we give you Medivh if you want him, but we are still going to win this game.
Speaking of portal control, heroes that need to be thought about here. Malfurion could be a possibility here for leftovers. You can drop down that route when a portal comes forward towards you. Junkrat may be an option, but you will suffer when it comes to immortal DPS. But these type of heroes that can make space around a portal and the engagement coming in from Method is something you have to consider. We do have Limine coming out. That will help out with damage, and you also get that wave of force, an element of control. And then Blaze here to try and make sure that if there is a fight that breaks out, you always have that bunker to rely on.
Do we have Phoenix now? You are going up against the Blaze, who will have the bunker, but at the same time, it's a hero that Nick plays a lot. Would be great for him in that aspect. First of all, Aethera Angel finds himself on Thrall in this game, but what are we going to see? Maybe even Reina. You can go for the auto attack here too if you feel you can feel him safe, and yeah, that's what they do. Keep him away from Garrosh, make sure there's no flip. Be a bit careful about Maiev, but with good healing and also like good plays on the side of ADRD with his Medivh, you can keep Reina safe for sure.
Now we're looking at a support here for leftovers. We did mention Malfurion earlier. If you want to, you could think about a Karazim on this battleground for some extra DPS and trying to help secure kills with Maiev on our engagements. Then you go those resets.
I like the Malfurion though, for the reasons that you pointed out earlier. Karazim has a lot of great synergies with the draft that the leftovers have used so far. You have Garrosh with a throw into a 7-sided strike, for example.
Yeah.
But then you have Medivh as a factor who can negate that to a huge extent. And also on top of that, we have to consider that with Malfurion, the portal control that you pointed out is just so much greater because you have those routes available. But yeah, the linchpin in this game, no doubt, is going to be Medivh, and how do the leftovers deal with this?
Are we thinking for Malfurion, do we go Twilight Dream just to make sure that if you have Medivh, go a little bit too deep and you can punish a Force of Will and go for a blow up here? Or do you go for the Tranquility and make sure that you keep your teammates alive?
I think Twilight Dream would actually be fantastic for them. Both ults are absolutely viable on Malfurion. It depends a bit on how you want to play it. But considering the amount of self-heal they already have on heroes like Garrosh and Blaze, I would say you can definitely get away with the Twilight Dream, try and make a play through that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it depends a bit on how... Like, Tranquility is a great tool when you have these standoff fights and everybody pokes, and then at some point you start to make the engagement push forward and try to own that space.
Yeah.
But if you just want to have the snap win and maybe shut down Diablo or Medivh and engage on the other side, then the Twilight Dream is fantastic. I could definitely see them with a Twilight Dream here. Personally,
I'm just very excited for this draft in particular because we have on the one side Method who excels with Medivh, and we finally get to see it. It's been weeks since we've seen a Medivh here from ADRD, but on the other side you got Maiev and Garrosh, a combination that the leftovers started to win all the way back in week 3, week 4 here in phase 2 of HGC. We have comfortable heroes from both teams on BOE.
But let's not forget, if you get flipped by Garrosh, all of a sudden Medivh is there to help you out. You get the shield, you get the portal, and he can portal you back in. So Garrosh loses a lot of his threat level when there's a Medivh on the other side that knows what he's doing.
Let's go into it, guys. Game number 1, Garrosh and Maiev versus a Medivh. On the left side, in the blue, Kaldor, the honors are yours.
Linked playing on Malfurion here for the leftovers. Blakitne on Maiev. We see Polyboss on Blaze for the off-lane play, dropping those bunkers. Mopsio, of course, at the front line. Garrosh for him, and DAB in game number 1 on Li Ming for the resets.
On the right side, in the red, Nick on Raynor, Bad Benny on Diablo, Kirsten back on Tyrande. We saw him play a lot of Tyrande yesterday. Aethera on Thrall, and ADRD back on his main man, Medivh.
Can he still play Medivh?
Yes. I'm sure he practices 4 games a night at least, just waiting for the moment to get to play it. The exciting thing is...
This is what I trained for!
This is what it is! Just goes full Krillin on us. This is the thing about Method here, though, is now Diablo can afford to be a little bit more aggressive, especially here in the early game. You have an escape. This is one of the combos that we saw weeks ago, all the way back in phase of 1. Diablo and Medivh together are such a beautiful pairing.
Yeah, he can be hyper-aggressive. Now, the one thing that I am still a little bit skeptical about is if we see the traditional combo with the leyline seen into an Apoc. Simply because the Apocalypse plays have not really been great for Method lately, and their synergy on cooldown executions was a bit weak. But then again, this is something they should be very much used to by now, so that is still a little bit questionable for me which path they're going to go. But it would be the obvious play to go into a ley line together with the Apocalypse. Then again, we have seen also a lot of Medivh plays on ADRD where instead he just tries to go for the polymorph control.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I'm really excited to see if Diablo is going to be put in that spot where ADRD allows Benny to be way more aggressive than he could usually be just by portaling him in, portaling him out whenever there is an aggressive engage. So yeah, I'm hyped for this game. If you don't win here, if you're Method, then you're going to have a tough time in this series for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You'll be demoralized. The more I think about it, the more I would really enjoy to have a Lightning Breath. First off, you have the natural synergy of Raynor with a slow Lightning Breath being available, but Lightning Breath is such a nice deterrent to dive. Speaking of dive, we already have a cool combo coming in straight on top of Bad Benny. He shadow charges away and portals out, and that is something that Medivh just changes about the game. Maev, Garrosh, these heroes that really set up these big plays to pull somebody in for an instant death, he just completely stops it.
With the Malfurion portal control, I also like that we have Shando's Clarity taken on level 1 that really helps Li Ming in particular to get even more damage out through the cooldown reduction that you get here. So that's actually a pretty cool touch that we have now with additional synergy from level 1 onwards already being used by the Leftovers.
Leftovers opening up this game with a bang so far, already taking one turret and negate there by going for an early mercenary camp. They peel back and start their camp here on the left side as well, but showing that they have no fear. They mean business today. In the top lane, Blaze and Thrall content with just soaking while ADRD comes over and scouts with the Bruiser camp and allow for a Method to grab their own on the right side. So we are starting to head into the Immortal phase with both teams having their camps.
Also, Thrall right now sitting at 14 stacks. Of course, ideally, Thero wants to complete it. Look at Podibos here, actually standing on the weak minions. So I'm not quite sure if he caught that, but that's something he's going to continue to be doing here. He wants to limit the amount of stacks that Thrall can get, and ideally delay the completion of the level 1 quest long enough so that it doesn't come into play around the first objective. So what he's doing is every single time that Thrall has an opportunity to stack on a minion because it's so low, Blaze moves on top of that minion, and that makes sure that Thrall can't target it directly.
That Blaze booty paying off, but Bad Benny thinking about coming in for an engager with a portal, and you see that Malfurion root instantly coming out, as well as the Treant, just to make sure if anyone were to come forward, they would instantly be rooted and allow for Li Ming, DAV there, to pop some damage on top of them. Immortal begins, and Method steps up.
And also we're seeing on level 4 now the Triumphra taken already, a bit of an alt build for Li Ming. The kill against her though, as Thrall comes in and takes her down at Thero, getting the first kill of the game, and all of a sudden Method starting to gain some momentum here.
And Force of Will is about to be back up, so Bad Benny can continue to hold around this point. Raynor poking where he can, the Groundbreaker both go off, but Raynor with the penetration round able to knock him away. Bad Benny getting bounced around like a pinball, but is able to survive thanks to the Force of Will. A portal is up for him to escape forward while Method gets to the halftime show.
Yeah, the Immortal Stun actually slowed him down a bit here, but definitely Leftovers trying to play ping pong with Diablo quite successfully at that. No kill though. And now of course the question, can Leftovers, after the halftime show was just gotten by Method, come back into this and claim the first objective? They're already moving in, but so is Method. We could have a race on our hands.
Now we could, and immediately the race begins. So far, Method is in the lead by a good 500, 600, continuing to shell away with a total of 5 Ethereal. A little bit late to the rotation, though, and because of it, Leftovers are going to be able to grab the first Immortal of the game.
A little bit disappointing, I'm not gonna lie. Method, I feel, had a really good chance of making that work, but they were a lot slower on the rotation to move on to the Immortal. With Tyrande in the mix, you have a very good chance to claim the Immortal here if you have Thrall and Rain on it. Now, keep in mind, Exterminate has not been taken as the level 1 talent for Jimmy. Instead, we are seeing Nick here with a traditional ace in the hole. Quite important because it already signals, so they're not so much going to use Reyna to try and raise the Immortal itself, but it's more so about the teamfight damage that they are focused on.
I really feel like Method thought that they had such a lead that Leftovers would come over and set up defense, but Leftovers, the moment they saw Thrall on the bottom, just went for the race themselves, and because of that, they got the lead. And they may be able to grab a 4 here, too. Another combo comes out, straight onto an Immortal stun. Gonna be a root immediately afterwards, but a portal will allow for Method back up. But the result is still here. A fort has been destroyed by the Leftovers, and they jump up in experience because of it.
Yeah, rotation is there and nobody falling into the travel phase, checking the bush here. Entire level lead already for the Leftovers. Great start into the game by them. The initial kill from Method did not really deter them at all. But yeah, next objective is going to tell us a lot here. Of course, we have with Medivh now also the scouting tools of AD already available, and he's using that to just home in on the position of their opponent. Benny is on 91 stacks with his Diablo, ADRD on 28 with his Medivh quest. So there's definitely a lot of power spikes coming into the hands of Method within the next few minutes.
Although it looks like we've had a lot of fights. Garrosh himself only having 6 stacks on his Groundbreaker talent at level 1, so looks like we're not getting as many engagements as we would like to see. The 8.5 experience, nice for leftovers, but they're going to start focusing on this fort in the bottom. They actually bring all 5 down, with Garrosh anchoring on the top side, making sure that Diablo can't come in for a flank. This will allow for them to at least get the well and put some damage on top of this fort. Thrall on the top lane is soaking, so leftovers may just fully commit.
Yeah, they can definitely do that. The 5-man down at the bottom is just possible because they took the camp early on at the top side and pushed that out. With the fort already gone, they created a lot of space where Thrall needed to play safe. Is now starting to push that out, but that allows the play for the fort at the bot lane, and that's enough experience to propel them farther forward towards level 10.
Mopsio fishing for an engage, but no one presents themselves. Bad Benny will finish off his stack there on his soul, so he has a full 100 now, but 9 3/4, and look at this timing too. Immortal up in about 18 seconds. Leftovers will be able to move towards that level 10 and play safe / get aggressive once they hit that heroic.
Yeah, this is a pretty trashy position to be in at this point for Method. They're just about to hit level 9, the entire level behind. And that's an heroic ability that Leftovers will soon have. The halftime show is guaranteed. They might even be able to just get the Immortal on the back of that lead that they have right now. And that snowball is something that Method has to be really worried about.
Yeah, at this point, maybe just try to get some damage on the Immortal. Do whatever you can. Trying to get caught out in the fight. They see Mopsio here in the middle. Method able to put decent damage out, but leftovers go to the top. That's where they get their 10 at. And immediately the other 4 group up for an immediate engage. The Immortal on the right side here for defense. So offensive Immortals will allow for leftovers to start poking.
Tranquility taken for Malfurion, so they're trying to create, just to claim space while Tranquility is up, move in and force it. Bit of a race happening here. Isn't as bad for Method as it could be. They still are half a level behind though, which is the bigger concern, because now with 2 forts already gone, leftovers are clearly looking to secure a keep here. Method will have level 10 for the defense on the other hand. That should allow them to be a bit more aggressive and maybe even hold on to their keeps, but it's definitely a scary situation from their perspective.
Would like to see Blaze rotate down. Here he comes actually after clearing that top lane. And with the Medivh being on the field, you have to be really careful when you're pushing with the objective, because the portal can make sure that you just get completely engaged upon it. There's a 5v4, you're going to get cleared up. So now Polyboss being here will allow for leftovers to step up and protect said Immortal. Should be able to get this keep wall, and as you mentioned, maybe pushing for this keep.
I don't think they can get it. There's a Hyperion there, there's Sundering. There's so many tools for Method. If not for a good engage and a kill, I feel leftovers are going to walk away here.
ADRD hopping into Raven form.
It's tough. There's the Hyperion.
They should back up here, right? Bad Benny goes in, gets a toss, but Quaddy Boss backs away. Lunar Flare connects.
Yeah, good damage out. I mean, the zoning tools that we have for Method definitely working here. It's an early Immortal. They're still looking to see if they can maybe chase with the help of the portals. It's not the case. But we have now still that level lead for Leftovers. Now keep in mind, Leftovers have taken 2 forts, the towers, and also the wall at the keep itself. And therefore, that level lead isn't actually as crazy. So if Method is starting to take structures too, they should be able to close this gap pretty quickly.
I think he's going to buy the looking for it. Rainer with no Hyperion, but we do have the choke here with Lightning Breath is strong, and Sundering too if Leftovers overcommit, and Leftovers are aware of it. You see in their positioning, they're not walking into bushes, paired as a couple, maybe letting 1 or 2 move forward. This Mercenary camp, the main focus for both teams, but no one wants to fully pull the trigger yet.
From Leftovers' perspective, you're starting to play a bit of a slower game to get level 13 around the next Immortal. Method is the ones who have to make the decision. Do they really want to force a fight right now? Is that something that is in their interest to force now, even though we have Hyperion down? Or are they just going to wait those 30 seconds, see if they can get an engage afterwards? Benny is already just like shocking around there. He knows that Medivh is going to have his back, whatever happens. Thrall knows exactly about the position of the leftovers. Medivh is taking care of that, so he can easily move away. But now the Immortal is announced, and the double wave towards the top is going to grant so much XP for leftovers that level 13 is close.
It's one of those things that Medivh does. And whenever you're a team that's ahead of a Medivh team and you realize it, you have to make sure that you're not too worried about the owl constantly floating around you and giving you a vision. You need to be decisive in what you want to go for. If you see one person down the bottom, go for a mercenary camp. And Leftovers is doing just that. They grab the camp to the top lane. That will allow for that to push in, while Method has to come over and set up for defense. Nick already putting a little bit of damage here on the right side. It looks like they're going to go for a bit of a race with these aggressive spawns by the Immortals.
All right, they're starting to go in, and they have a good race here. Both teams do. The Immortal is already getting heavily chunked down, and it's basically a 50-50 with a slight lead for Method in this Immortal phase. But again, 13 is so close, and that's what Leftovers are waiting for.
They're waiting for, man. The Groundbreaker 2 from Opsio would be great here. Getting that extra shield allows for him to be a little bit more aggressive.
Rotation and positioning. The Immortals spawn heavily favoring Method here, and they get a lot of free damage in.
Get a lot of damage in. It's down to about a quarter HP, but finally Leftovers shows up, and they want to fight. Lakini goes in, can't find a tether, has to back away. Medivh continuing to float above Leftovers allows for Method to decide if they want to be able to engage or get a little bit more poke on this Immortal.
Method has to be careful because of the 13 talent advantage, but their position around the Immortal is great and allows them now to poke away. Same is happening with Li Ming, who has rotated down to the bottom to put a bit of pressure on. Here comes the Hyperion trying to create this space. They're going to try and make the play for the objective here.
At least a little bit of damage here too. Li Ming finally comes in from her job on the bottom. Ooh, but a big tether finally connects, and there's a Warden kit. But the orb doesn't connect with 3 members, and Leftovers have to start backing up.
Here comes the Sundering, Tranquility being used immediately. The portal is in to save Benny. He gets thrown though, trying to make it to the portal and gets out. Another attempt by Polyboss to engage. Good throw from Garrosh, and the stun follow-up is there. Bunker being used, and Nick goes down. He's eliminated, and they're looking for more.
And Nick is the major damage too. Method has to back away. With no Nick being available, they can't shred down this Immortal. They can maybe have Thrall come up and poke it slightly, but Leftovers will be equipped to protect it. Li Ming already heading to the bottom with the help of Maiev, and Leftovers are aiming to win this Immortal, and they'll easily take it away.
Gonna take the Immortal here, and it's gonna have a really low shield. The Immortal is gonna travel to the top side now. Still not quite sure if they can actually get the keep. Then again, 40 seconds on Hyperion, all the cooldowns down. It's gonna be tough to defend it. 13 should be there if they soak the bottom and the top lane. So Method is at least going to have the even talents. But they find themselves in the same spot over and over again. Every time the Immortal is there, Method has a talent disadvantage. And I think the level 16 could be different, but with Leftovers already looking at 14.5, they might just be able to pull it off again.
No Hyperion for about 15 seconds, and Leftovers did break down this gate and turret earlier from the Bruiser camp they grabbed, so they can look to get a little keep damage. But you're right, they definitely have to be careful here with Raynor on the poke. There goes the first turret, it gets cleared up, and the Immortal will make his way straight to the keep. How much can Leftovers do here?
Here comes the Hyperion right away, trying to zone it out. Leyline also being used to engage against Diablo. Is still on full souls here. They try to burst down the keep, and the keep is already about to fall as Belakiti is making his engage, going in with the tether. Dropping the cage as well. The keep is down. Method still fighting here though. Benny trying to push them out as Tranquility has been used by Link in the backline. The bunker's already on the ground as well as he's trying to keeping everyone alive here. And once again, here comes Diablo with a quick lightning breath as we see Garrosh looking for a throw.
But Leftovers get the disengage thanks to the bunker being available. Don't have to worry about that lightning breath, and the result is the same. Leftovers gets to keep in the top right corner, has catapults pushing in that lane, and are building towards level 16. Leftovers having a substantial lead over Method.
It's not even the team fights in this game. It's really just a rotational advantage and understanding of the map that gives Leftovers this lead. It all started with them getting a lot of pressure through that first Immortal, being able to rotate up quickly and take down the fort, and then pushing the lane out, moving to the bot lane and getting another fort for free. And that experience through structures helped them to find themselves in an advantageous position for every objective. And now they're going to get level 16. And Method is in this do-or-die situation where they're like, guys, how do we play this? They're trying to fight before 16. If that works out, it would be great for them, but they really need to win something here. Sundering comes out, but it doesn't hit Mopsio.
Mopsio with a Groundbreaker, able to get some shields. ADRD was trying to come around from the top left side, but DAB with some solid control made sure that could not occur, and Leftovers were able to back up. They took some damage, though. They need to retap, maybe come back on in. Meanwhile, in the top lane, there is a camp pushing with the aid of the catapults. Leftovers would love to get 16 and try to keep Method in this general direction while they prepare for the next Immortal phase, which will be here in about 23 seconds.
I really think the fight down here, even though it wasn't close quarters, would have been a great chance for them to turn things around. It's tough against Maiev, but right now is Method needs a win and a big one, and I don't know how they can pull that off. The ley line comes through, Person is low, so is the Thero. Lightning Breath in again. Diablo might actually be able to get out here. Just kidding. In comes Play, stuns him out, and DAB follows up with a kill.
And we can use the flamethrowers here to get some damage on top of this keep. Hyperion is used by Method for defense, but Leftovers is very content with that. If they can get out with all 5 members, they can make their way towards the Immortals, and Catapult is starting to look and hit that damage on the Immortal, or the core in the top right corner. Mafio throws away Bad Benny, who's looking for a flip, but he can't quite get it. The slows and the resets are too much.
They're trying to go in the Wolf again, and DAB popping off and bodying ADRD.
DAB with a big combo. Bad Benny trying to come in. Method feeling like this might be the only fight they have here. Big combo straight to Bad Benny, and he is cleaned up too. Leftovers starting to get a few kills here as they go up to 5. Turn around and look at the Immortal, but look at the core. It's already down to 94%, 91 now as Catapults were shelling away during that entire fight.
Right now, you have to you can't give up the Immortal. They have to somehow YOLO into this. I mean, it's basically a checkmate position.
Yeah.
You don't have keeps left. The keep at the bot lane, technically it's still there, but that's one hit and then it's a goner. And if you have a full shielded Immortal against you, we're talking core no matter what. So right now, you're trying to make a move somehow, even with not 5 members on the map. Here comes the ley line. Doesn't hit anything. They're still looking for the kill, but Ling with the Tranquility.
Zero staying here on the left side, has that Sundering still, hasn't decided to pop it. Tranquility is used, but here's Bad Benny. Method realizing they have to take this fight. They are stepping up, but Leftovers backing away from the fight. They know they have the Immortal. DAB gets comboed. Oh, but he's able to dodge out at the last second.
Quick Kidney the entire time. Every time he's caught, every time there's a stun coming his way, he has his number. Down goes ADRD. He's not the only one. Nick falls too, and this is just gonna be it. Adiro falls, a triple kill. As we're seeing the Immortal already push down through the bot lane, going straight for the last remaining keep. One hitting that pretty easily. No HP left on that bad boy anymore. And now with a 3-level lead, the Leftovers on their victory to game number 1.
Leftovers with a solid early game, solid mid game, and eventually getting to a point where they put Method against the wall. Force them into a fight they did not want to take, and Method will fall 1-0 as the Leftovers take the first game in this best-of-5 series.
And this should also dispel pretty quickly any ideas that some people might still have, but the only reason why Method is struggling is that third ban coming in. I mean, it's literally them getting Medivh, getting a great pick, even Diablo in their midst, and they get completely demolished. Through an experienced lead that Leftovers establishes early, even though Method got the first kill, 8 kills against 1 right now. And if you can't win with this draft, if you can't win with your Medivh, is that really something where you feel you can still make a turnaround happen when you have your priority picks and you don't make a dent in your opponent's defense? Leftovers looking strong, looking dominant, and getting a... I want to call it an easy win. It was still like a very well executed rotational advantage that they secured for themselves, but they never really looked in a position like they would lose control of the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it really felt like Leftovers had Method stiff-armed the entire time, just barely within range and maybe trying to get engaged, but never getting the full fight they wanted, which slowly gave them small incremental advantages that got them the win, especially going in the mid-game. I mean, going into the second Immortal, there was only a total of 3 kills on this battleground, which is kind of weird with it being BOE and having a lot of fights usually breaking out, and the amount of brawling we had between the two. You could really tell that Leftovers were just in full control the entire time. So going into game 2, Method has to break that somehow, and I don't know if they can, especially with, as we mentioned, they got their comfort drafts here in the early game.